great is that guy? All right, people, you are watching an episode of Transparency and Merit. Why not? I'm Joe. I'm usually here with my buddy Brian. But I think Brian's at work and thought I'd catch up a little bit. Brian's been posting on the regular. He gets into his modes and covers a lot of topics. A lot of them, I'm not going to keep saying what I always say, but he does cover a lot of topics that I find useless. And it shouldn't be a knock on him, even though it sounds like it. It really isn't. When it comes to left versus right and the whole paradigm of politics, you can count me out. I am convinced, not blindly. I've looked as far back as I can about these sort of things. Politics, at least at the level where media is covering these ideas, that I just feel it's a waste of time, and it's usually an argument that's going to either carry on and go unresolved, or two people might strike an accord of some kind. I don't know, but I just feel that when in the big picture, in the grand scheme of things, that a lot of these topics really don't do a whole heck of a lot for anyone. And call me myopic, which would be very wrong, or call me whatever you want. Thick-headed. And call me a bunch of things. But I'm not lazy. I do a bunch of research. It really bugs me how there seems to be a continuous flow of nonstop garbage. And when things go unresolved for 50 or 60 years and people are still arguing over the particulars of a matter, I not only can I look at those stories with a raised eyebrow, I almost can identify stories when they come along now of similar ilk. And so what does it do? What does it do to sit there and fight for 50 or 60 years over something that can never be resolved? Problems can be resolved, and impacts can be made in a community. Start locally, of course, and move globally if you can. Things do change. We're in an era of epic change, unprecedented change, and I feel that this long game of divide and conquer has reached its apex, and it's hard for me to agree with a whole heck of a lot of people these days. There are a lot of people I do agree with and talk to. Thank God they're there. But when I refer to the people in my life, it's quite a thing. And I have stories. I have a story from today. But let's just play some of Brian's show from it's from yesterday. See what he said.
Biggest struggle. If I can control when I eat, I've got the what I eat pretty much. I don't eat carbs and stuff.
All right. I didn't want to get into his whole food conquest, and that's just like it's a personal matter, and I think he's awesome for sharing it with everybody, and he does a great job of keeping people in the loop of his status. But he's not. I think he worries. I guess we're our own worst critic. When when I'm a couple pounds overweight, yeah, that affects me. But yeah, Brian's not a sloth or someone who just doesn't care at all. He cares, and um, he does manage his weight, whether he wants to acknowledge that or not. So that's not of any importance to me as far as the show goes. Obviously as friends, I'm always concerned about the particulars, but and these sort of details. But when it comes to politics and stuff, yeah, this is kind of pushed aside. Let's see what he says here. This is from a couple days ago.
About that issue. I kind of do, because I don't like censorship of any kind.
Now, I should be clear. Brian said it in the show, and I'm saying it here. We agree on, I don't know, a lot of things. He says most things. I think. Actually, I'm not sure exactly what he said, but I would say many things, especially social injustice and the true motives and intent behind these groups, and censorship. Of course, we've been doing shows for 10 years now, a long time. We have a very good attitude towards it. We always consider it practice, because if we considered it anymore, we'd probably get pummeled. But we enjoy going over these. I enjoy talking to him about issues of censorship, and we've seen so much change since we started podcasting, from going on and doing shows that were pretty inflammatory, to where we're at now, where I think we do a lot of shows that are super dry.
Don't like lies being spread about, and that's kind of what I see. Could be wrong. And Master of Rope says these individuals are private companies and they can do what they want. And I think if you think deep enough, private companies cannot operate or do anything they want. If I had a company and I wanted to pay people less than the minimum wage, the government would come down on me.
Hey, Master of Rope just got a mention by sheer luck. And now Brian, with his little cap and his buttons on his shirt, is trying to find a voice that he knows he already has. It's quite a thing. And maybe it's just him wanting to show change or face change in the face. And for that, I feel he'll be rewarded. That's always a worthwhile endeavor, to make changes and to not fear the unknown. I'm like that in a lot of aspects of my life. And I've always said it, where if I'm in a place where I don't know the next step to take, I'm probably doing the right thing. And that's kind of scary to think about if you let it be scary. But for me, it's invigorating, and it's challenging, and it's real. It's always been the issue I have with conservatism, that I feel they can take more steps. Sometimes it's dreadful, and kicking them in the ass makes things worse. Like they say, you never want to piss somebody off at the DMV, where if you're registering a vehicle or whatever, any place where there's government workers, the idea is to never upset them, because that slow pace will only drag more and more. So I don't know. I don't know if he said anything worth. Let's see. I'll fast forward this a second or two. Let's see.
Those who believe in the First Amendment and freedom of speech and freedom of expression.
And he uses the word believe a lot, and I'm trying to smack it out of him. It's he's unaware that he does it, but you shouldn't have to believe in. What did he say? I got to hear this again. I mean, this is
freedom of speech and freedom of expression.
Freedom of speech and freedom. You don't have to believe in that. It's not a system of beliefs. You just do it. And if the people around you aren't letting you do it, then you know something. So he should become more aware of a word like belief as it is juxtaposed against knowledge, for example.
You know, because I welcome all types of thought. And that used to be what YouTube was and Google was, and you could really get into all that.
Yeah, we know that. Okay.
I've heard that Japan and Sweden have gone back to normal, and they've pretty much handled.
Really? They've gone back to normal. This guy needs a kick in the ass. Severely.
Their COVID crisis, and America hasn't, and neither is Israel. And Israel is the most vaccinated. I think one of the most vaccinated nation yet.
You think a country that's fully vaccinated could ever go back to normal again? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to get into that conversation with you, Brian.
The variant is still there, and maybe it's because they are a nation that is very militarized and they have conscription and close contact. I'm not sure.
Yet you support them. You love them.
Just would like to have open and honest discussion on what the best solution is for this problem. And at this point, it seems like things have been very politicized, and we seem to be talking at one another.
Yeah, it's politicized. Look at your last 60 shows and go through them and find one of those shows that isn't politicized by you. And one thing I don't discount is the power and impact that one person can have. So if you look at your long list of shows that you've done in the last year and a half, how many of those are politicized? Tone and tenor, content, the whole thing. And I get it, but I would get it more if every issue wasn't so polarized, black and white. And this dude, Timcast.
He also did a lot of bad.
I just picked a random moment of this, and I'm looking. I'll do it again. I'm just going to go up and down the timeline and land somewhere. And let's see. We're looking for some kind of fear mongering. Can we find it?
Go to New York, guess what? You got to have a passport. I don't care what the difference is. When there is no freedom of movement, then we're dealing with borders. And if the borders have emerged between states, well, there you go. Joe Rogan performed in Madison Square Garden. I think it was the other day or the day before. Massive. I'm not sure it was sold out, but it was just massively full. And I am all
right. I don't have time to do this. Every other word out of his mouth is about the scary things going on and demonstrated in the mainstream media headline stories. This guy couldn't be any worse. Okay. Tim Cass sucks. Following people like this is not helpful. All right. Anyways, it's getting long. I didn't want to go this long, and here we are. We're over 15 minutes already. All right. So I just wanted to point out I'm going to do some more finance shows. And in my last finance show that I did, okay, I was bullish on Bitcoin, and the only feedback I got was negative. And here we are, I don't know, a couple weeks later, Bitcoin has gone up only $9,000 since then. So I'm not saying like go out and buy a Bitcoin. That's a big investment. I'm just saying like there's some trends that I'm on top of here. I'm going to keep addressing these. It's not the most important to everybody. It's not the most important thing to me. And but I do enjoy kind of going over some of the strategies. Tim Pool doesn't stand by anything he says. If he did, YouTube would have censored him. Yeah. He'll never get censored unless it's part of the narrative for him to get censored and all that. Hello, Angela. Thanks for coming by. Just did some, just looking at some of what Brian did. I'm trying to stoke the fires of conversation because here at least we're allowed to. He does point out that YouTube stopped allowing comment sections on a lot of their stories, if not all. I think most of their news stories now, and it's been happening across the board in the mainstream, and it's a douchebag thing to do, to not be able to go to a story and debate it publicly. But that's they want to control that narrative and fear, and they want to push. So anyways, I'm going too long here. I'm probably rambling. I haven't done one of these in a minute. So again, just more practice. Thanks for listening to Transparency and Merit. I'm Joe. Next time I'll probably be on here with Brian, and do look out for the finance shows that I put out every once in a while. And that is it. Talk to y'all later. Thanks, June and Angela.